Larry, you think this could be a bit of a passing fest for Jalen Hurts here, right?
This number is so low on his pass attempt. Started at 26.5 where I got it. I would still go over 27.5 right now. That's only minus 105 on BetMGM. He did throw 28 times in a blowout victory last week. And we have seen a lot of these very low attempts number, but that's when the Eagles have not been pushed. We believe, everyone here believes this is going to be a tight game throughout. The Chiefs are going to push the Eagles, and they will stack the box. We saw that's exactly what they did 2 years ago. He had 38 attempts. I'm not calling for 38 attempts, but I think 30 is very doable here, especially early, like you talked about. They're going to come out throwing. It's what they do in the postseason. They try to throw to get the lead and then pound you. I love Jalen Hurts over on pass attempts.
Yeah, I'm going to go over on his yardage here because I think there's several ways to get there. And the number's like 212. It's an insanely low number for 2024, 2025 in the NFL. Look, you can get there by coming out and throwing early and having to, push the tempo, throw downfield, maybe get a couple shots. We start to get there, and then the Chiefs push you, and it turns into sort of a shootout, and you get a lot of passing yards for Jalen Hurts. Or the Chiefs come out, get a lead, and Hurts is forced to throw, and you rack up that number. Remember, a few years ago in this same matchup, Jalen Hurts went for 300 yards, and I would be remiss not to point out, I have a long shot article up on CBSSports.com right now. 7-1 for Jalen Hurts to go over 300, and you can target some of those bands, 300 to like 325, 325 to 350 at like 15-1. If you think that this is going to end up being more of a passing affair than perhaps the Eagles would even like it to be. And of course, RJ, if Jalen Hurts is throwing, somebody's got to catch it, and there's a sneaky tight end option here, isn't there?
Well, I don't know about sneaky. He's their number one tight end. He's definitely the least remarked upon tight end in this game when you compare him and Travis Kelce. But I like Dallas Goedert to go over 51.5 receiving yards. This number has climbed up since last week. I still like it. KC has allowed 54 plus yards to a tight end in 10 games this season. Most yards allowed to tight ends in the regular season. And Goddard looks healthy after missing time twice with injuries this year, coming off an 85-yard day against Washington. So I like him to go over 51.5. My true prop, which I can't find, it's not going to be available at a ton of places, is Saquon Barkley over half a pass attempt. I think he's going to throw a pass in this game. So I don't care what the odds are. You just give me the option to play that. I'm going to play Saquon Barkley throwing a pass in this game.
Yeah, I love that, RJ. Oh, God. I love that play from RJ. I like Saquon, not necessarily to throw the pass, although I can definitely see it. I'm going to go over his receiving yardage, currently 12.5 on BetMGM. And I know it's because the Eagles haven't used him as much as probably we all thought they might in the passing game this season. But when you talk about just an overall skill set from a player, a lot of receiving running backs in this particular situation would be seeing a line at least 20.5 to 21.5. So when I look at this spot and the way this game can play out, the fact that Kansas City could be stacking the box, the fact that we know Kansas City is a good offense, there's definitely a scenario here where the Eagles are trailing in this game. I just think there are so many scenarios where Saquon Barkley is able to receive 13 yards in this game in the passing game. So I'm going to go over here at 12.5.
Yeah, my bad, Mike. When you mentioned a third passing attempt, a third player making a passing attempt in the Super Bowl, I just get overexcited. I think about all those games where it has happened, and I like that look. You can find obviously over 2.5 players to attempt to pass. We've seen different coaching staff, of course. We've seen the Eagles pull that off, and Andy Reid's not scared. Although I don't know if he wants to take the ball out of Mahomes' hands. I still think it's an interesting look. We got to take some unders as well. Larry, you were on an under for the Eagles' number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, Devontae Smith in the playoffs, 4 targets, 4 catches. That's his line every single game, but that's not why I'm playing it in the Super Bowl. You look at the 6 games where all 3 guys were healthy. Talking about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. Devontae Smith has the lowest target share, that's under 20%. And then you go a little deeper. When the Chiefs play 2 high safety, which they play over 60% of the time against that coverage, Devontae Smith's target share drops all the way to 14%. So, maybe he makes a few key plays, but 5 catches, that's a big ask for Devontae Smith.
Give me Jahan Dotson here, under 2.5 receiving yards, not receptions, receiving yards for Jahan Dotson. Look, we're essentially betting against a catcher. He's not going to be one of the premier target getters in this offense, particularly when you've got a guy like Dallas Goedert healthy. You don't want to take the ball out of Saquon's hands if you don't have to, which is why I like Saquon in the receiving game as well. So I just think that outside of some scripted play on the opening drive or the scenario where they're really trailing late, I don't see many opportunities for Jahan Dotson to even be on the football field, let alone being targeted in this passing game here. So I went under 2.5 receiving yards for Jahan Dotson.
I'm going to be kind of against Larry on his over earlier because I'm going to go Jalen Hurts under 18.5 completions. He's gone over this number just twice since week 3, and I disagree that if they get behind, he's going to have to just light it up because that's where you get in a problem with Spagnuolo just dialing up blitzes and putting him under pressure, and you just do not want to be in that place if you're the Eagles offense. So I think they keep feeding Saquon even if they fall behind, unless we're talking about, down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. Hurts is going to be healthier in this game with extra rest, and we saw that he picked his spots in the NFC Championship, and he looked pretty fine running the ball. He had a touchdown, I believe, that was called back. That was from a pretty decent distance out. So he can scramble for yards rather than boost his completion numbers with dump offs here, which I think is going to be the play against this Chiefs defense. So I think he runs the ball more than expected, and he goes under 18.5 completions, just like he has for most of the season.
I'm taking A.J. Brown's under at 70.5 receiving yards. He can blow this out of the water because he's A.J. Brown. He's a grown-ass man, and he does stuff like on the football field that is unstoppable. But I think it's just a pretty high number for a team. When you talk about 18.5 completions and you got Dallas Goedert at 50, A.J. Brown at 70, Devontae Smith is, somewhere in the middle there, and Saquon at 13? I mean, like how much yardage is there to go around for a guy who's supposed to complete 19 passes? I think the obviously they're going to try and sell out to stop the run, but I think, if Trent McDuffie's on him most of the game, then we can see A.J. Brown limited to a degree. I hate saying it because I love A.J. Brown as much as I love, more than I love a lot of my family members. Eagles anytime touchdown. I'll start off here and throw to you, RJ, because we have the same guy. Jalen Hurts, he's minus 115. We saw what happened. He got hurt, against the Rams. We're worried he might not be involved in tush pushes because they want to keep him healthy if they get to the Super Bowl. And he scores 3 times. He is back, and he's going to get the ball down by the goal line on the one. Saquon doesn't care about scoring the touchdowns, particularly when it comes to chasing the Super Bowl ring. One thing I'll throw out too, another long shot from my article, Jalen Hurts to score the first, Jalen Hurts to have like the first down of the game. I think is really interesting. It's like 15-1. And the idea being, what if you get a short yardage spot on the Eagles' first drive and they get the ball first and he picks up that first down? What if he scrambles? I think Hurts is going to use his legs a lot here. Love him anytime touchdown at minus 115, RJ.
Yeah, I'm going the same way. He scored this in 12 of 18 games this season, and 17 if you don't count that short injury appearance where he only made a few plays against Washington. Chiefs are going to have to focus more attention on running back than they have all year. We know that with Saquon Barkley, and that's going to leave lanes open for Hurts, especially outside the numbers where he can pick up a good chunk of change there. I don't expect them to stop a brotherly shove with this run defense if it gets to a goal line situation at the one where maybe a penalty sets it up. I know that the refs never throw flags on the Chiefs to feed that narrative, but if they do get to the 1 yard line, it's going to be a Jalen Hurts scoring touchdown. So I like getting minus 115. He's only 1 touchdown behind Saquon Barkley in the regular season and in the playoffs too. And Saquon, as we know, his numbers are massive, like minus 200. So I think his numbers should be closer to that number, probably not as high, but you should be getting up to that minus 140, minus 150 range.
I'm looking at Eagles pass catchers. I just think that's the path here, knowing how Kansas City is likely to defend. For me, Devontae Smith, I don't love him in this game, over the middle of the field and through volume, but I do love him in the red zone as he's the guy. He's extremely difficult to cover still, and he's not going to draw the most attention in this offense the way it is currently constructed. So at plus 250, I thought this number should have been right around plus 200. I thought there was a decent price point here on it. Give me Devontae Smith to find the end zone.
And Dallas Goedert all the way up there at 333. Pretty good value. I played him over his yards, but this is also a good look. He's scored 3 times in the last 8 games, and we know how vulnerable the Chiefs are to tight ends, and we've seen Nick Bolton struggle in coverage. I think Dallas Goedert, he just looks so good since coming back from the injury. The eye test tells you he's ready to get in the end zone again.